Hi there, it's me, Simone. I'm the Zen Mommy. I help people with spiritual awakening and ascension and guiding you through the healing of the mind, body, and soul. I want to take a moment to welcome all my new subscribers. And if you're watching this video for the first time, be sure to subscribe and click the bell button below. As I don't know about this airplane thing. Anyways, today I want to talk about the ego. I want to talk about ego responses and what the ego is and why are we plagued with this thing called the ego. One of the things that the ego is, the ego was an agreement we made prior to being born here. We actually agreed on the placement of the ego. See, on the other side, our true selves, our immortal souls. We don't have ego. We don't have, there's no negativity. Now, negativity, there's no negativity in spirituality. So negativity only exists after the placement of the ego. Negativity is contradiction of the ego, okay? So you say you want to live forever, but you get sick and die. That's considered a negative event. Only the ego sees it as a negative event because your true self, you know that there is no death. You know that death here is an illusion. But we made the agreement of that placement, okay? Number one, to protect us. So when we came here, and so I'm gonna say it like this, your God self, your creator God self, because one thing I learned after my experience, okay? I learned one thing for sure, that God, I grew up in religion and I saw God as this outside force that was untouchable, that controlled everything. But once I had my awakening, I began to internalize God. You begin to see that everything within you is God. That we are, God would be the ocean, right? And we would be the waves in the ocean. See, no matter with water, if you separate water, it's still the same thing. It might be separate, but it's still the same. But if you put water together, it still becomes one again. So you have to accept the fact that you are a God force. Your God self, okay, on the other side made an agreement to come down here for a certain experience. And in this experience, we have wiped our memory. That was another agreement. The agreement to have amnesia, okay? So now if you were born here to get an experience, to gain, to evolve in evolution, and think about it, as an all spiritual being, there's many creations, okay? Many creations, and this is just one of them. And imagine, as a multi-being, you're creating and you're experiencing. So in order to get into this 3D reality, number one, we have to lower our vibration. Number two, in order to do that, we have to forget that we're gods. We have to forget that we're immortal souls, okay? And so we wake up into this life with no memory, but we have to learn somehow. So we have the ego place, right? So what the ego does is, the ego is a program in your system that calculates past data and past events, and then it gives you off a warning sign. Look. Okay, Simone, I don't think you should make that move to Florida. Look at your past data. You don't have this, you don't have that. What if you get homeless? What if you and your child suffer? All of a sudden, all these fears, the ego brings up fears. It brings up worry, okay? So now that is to protect you from making a stupid mistake, right? But it's kind of overboard. Now, as a spiritual being awakening to consciousness, you have to learn more and more how to lean on your spirit. And you have to learn more and more you have to learn how to become aware of this ego program. Another thing about the ego program, when you think about negativity, you think about a negative response, and as I said, an ego response. So with an ego response, let's say, I'll give this is a perfect example. Okay, I have a few perfect examples. Every time someone makes a negative comment on my post or my video, the first thing I want to do is be like, you know what, you don't have to watch my channel. That's the first thing I think, right? But you know what, that is my ego. That is me seeing negativity in something where I don't actually have to look at it that way. You know, I have to understand that you have to see it this way. You're on your path to consciousness, right? If they don't see it, they're not there yet. Stepping down, communicating with the ego is stepping down to that level. And so, like, you'll begin to notice in your awakening, you'll check yourself. Am I having an ego response? Let's just say someone says something to you, right? Or I had I had an example. I said something to one of my friends earlier, and he got really upset at what I said. Let me tell you, I spent a long time editing this message to make it sound nice as possible, but it didn't matter. Immediately he was offended, okay? Immediately there was an ego response that took place. So why did he have an ego response? Because number one, he was looking at it from a negative standpoint. When you're having an ego response, you're also matching a negative vibration. So when it comes to the placement of the ego, you have to be aware of what's happening. You have to learn how to, one thing you have to do after spiritual awakening is learn how to step outside of yourself, and this is awareness, and watch these thoughts that come by. Watch when something rises up, watch when anger comes up, watch when jealousy comes up, watch when somebody says something and it really wouldn't be a big deal, but your ego is just like, you gonna let her get away with talking to you like that? Say something smart back. Okay, that's the ego right there. That is the ego response. So once you have your awakening and you're in your ascension process, you want to start curving your ego. You want to start learning how to be aware of when your response is coming up as an egoic response. And let me tell you, even if you don't respond, there's plenty of people that say negative stuff on my channel. You have no idea. I have an ego, okay? But I'm like, nope, I'm not going to waste my time. The ego gets upset. Like, part of you will begin to, like, you know, just kind of like, what is the word? You feel uncomfortable. The ego can put an emotion in you. It can make you feel upset, uncomfortable, jealous. I remember after my experience of going to the other side, when I came back, I was on high. I was in bliss mode. I felt like I was God all day. And somebody said one thing. Whoa, my ego rose up for the first time like a week or two afterwards. And the first thing I thought was like, oh my God, I don't like this. Like, seeing it from that pure perspective of that energy rush I had when I came in, I really saw how this ego program works. It's kind of like an organism. It has a personality, it has an attitude, okay? It's prone to attachments. And so the ego is definitely, my advice is awareness. It's like really start looking at the things even when you're feeling down, okay? You're upset. Like me, for instance, my hair's been giving me such a hard time. One of the reasons why I haven't been posting videos, right? But why is my hair bothering me so much? Like, why is it bothering me? The ego, okay? Negativity. Negativity is a contradiction of the ego. So when you, so somebody's driving by and they, anyways, negativity is a contradiction of the ego. So now we have to start learning in this ascension is to start becoming aware every time we have an ego response, that response is not you. That response is a program that's built in you for survival in this world, not knowing the mortal soul, the God self that you are. Anyways, I wanted to talk about that today. I appreciate you guys, all my subscribers. I apologize it took so long for me to do another video, but I'm here and I'm not leaving. All right, thank you. Namaste.